Alright guys, sorry for the late start. We're gonna get going here in just a second.
This is this between us.
The number one podcast in the world.
This is
the JBU.Show featuring Austin,
from the Miller Talk Podcast,
Allen,
the American Sincerest,
and now your host,
Cam Allen.
Alright, how's it going everybody? My name is Chris, and this is the JBU.Show. And joining me right now is nobody. Austin might be checking in here soon. I just saw right before I went on air that he actually got off work earlier than expected, which is why this was going to be a pre-show, because we were going to have to do a late show tonight, which I am still planning on doing, so you can join us. It's 5 o'clock now on the West Coast, probably around 8 p.m. normal time later this evening if you would like. But I got a lot of content. I didn't go on last night. I felt bad about it. I figured we might as well spend a little extra time with you today and see how it goes. So the reason for, well, I was going to say the title, but I guess not the title of this show, but the reason for the cover photo of this show is I have a lot of police videos that I've been stacking up, and it seemed like a good time to go through some of those, as well as just various stories. You know, I collect all these stories throughout the week to talk about on the show. And, of course, many of them we never end up getting to. Just depends on how the show goes, all of that. So I've got all kinds of different floater stories from around the week that we may or may not get into here. I think we'll start off with this video here tonight. We'll just jump right into the police videos. This video started going around last night, right before, or right after. Well, let's see, I wasn't on the air last night, so I guess right after I got got off my computer last night, after I decided I wasn't going to do the show. And it looks kind of brutal at first, but then when we take a step back, we start to notice some things. So let's just go ahead and watch it and go from there, shall we?
Give me a hand! Give me a hand! Okay, that's fine.
Look at this man! Look at this man!
Kelsey, you have a warrant for your arrest. Stop fighting.
Look at this man! Fuck you,
Hey, Kelsey, you have a warrant for arrest. Stop fighting.
You can't just break into my home! You can't just break into my home! You can't just break into my home and arrest me!
Why are you grabbing her like that?
What the fuck are you doing?
Why is he beating her up? Why is he beating her up? Does he
Why are
know
you
this
beating me
girl?
up?
Why is he
What
beating
the
her
fuck are you
up?
on top
Now,
of me?
it's just me, but I might suggest that the reason he is still struggling with you is because you are still fighting.
Why is he beating her up? Why are you letting her beat him up? Beat her
What the
up.
fuck are you hitting
No,
me?
get this
They
one.
tased me 3 times.
I know.
And they're literally holding me hostage.
I know.
They're literally pinning me down. This mother is literally gonna
Kelsey,
break
stop.
my
Kelsey, for your 10.
How long till she
gonna
starts
break
to
her
I can't
arm.
breathe?
Why don't you ask me what you
I
want?
give
What
it,
is your
let's
name?
see,
I'll
Give me
make
your
it
hand.
what?
it's minute 9. I give it
I want your
20
badge
more
number.
seconds.
Give me your hand.
Give me your badge number.
Give me a hand.
Give me your badge number.
Give me a hand. Give me a hand.
We
Get
got
step
that.
back.
We got that.
Give me a hand.
Okay, officer number 2, who is absolutely useless right now, could get up and move the table at least. Do something useful.
Get on this side.
Supervisor. No,
Get on this side, sir.
you did not have to hit her. Call me. You did not have to hit her.
We're calling 911 now on you.
604. Okay, here comes.
This isn't gonna go the way you think it is.
We already
Tell
did.
them they're literally punching me. They're punching. Tell them they're literally taking me off. They're punching. You're beating the shit out of me.
Why is he hitting her?
Make her stop. 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 Get out.
So how did calling 911 work?
He's been punching her.
I can't
over
breathe.
and
How
over
long?
again.
I was off a little bit. It was about 60
Because
seconds.
he beat her up. He tased her 3 times and he punched her in the face.
I didn't see the taser at all. I'm guessing it didn't work though, considering she's still fighting them.
She can't breathe. You got her stuffed in her pillows.
FYI, if you can scream, I can't breathe, you can breathe. How did calling 911 work out for you?
We don't need all this for one person.
All right. So it starts off pretty brutal here. We starts off with the punch right here in the first few seconds. Although that's repeated, so it's important to note that he only punched her one time. Frankly, could have punched her more. Wouldn't have been a problem. It's really simple. Don't fight. Don't get hurt. Even if it's an unlawful arrest. Okay, so there's 2 situations that are possible. There's a lawful arrest. There's an unlawful arrest. An unlawful arrest means an officer does not have a warrant or probable cause that you have committed some sort of crime. Okay. You technically could, although good luck fighting it in court, you technically could try to avoid being unlawfully arrested. But it would be mighty stupid of you to do that. Like, really stupid. Especially when you're smaller than the cop or cops. But when somebody has authority over you, you're never gonna get anywhere trying to fight them. If you're unlawfully arrested, just peacefully comply and sue their ass in court. We have multiple avenues of legal recourse if you are unlawfully arrested. Trying to fight the cop on the spot is only going to get you legitimate charges. And, well, you might get off if it's entirely unlawful, but again, is it going to be worth it in the end if you end up beat up or shot? Probably not. And the fact is, you know, the vast majority of these things, this woman is, she had a felony warrant, and, well, I'll get the exact details for you here in a second. I don't want to, I read it earlier, but I don't remember exactly, so I want to get the exact stuff rather than just spout off. But she had a warrant and a few other things. Just criminal. And you're not going to get sympathy, at least out of people like me, if you spend your life fucking with other people. And that's kind of why I've been saving these police videos, because I want to talk about policing in general for a little bit, and what's wrong with it in the United States, because there is unquestionably problems with policing, and what legitimately needs to be fixed. Because one of the things that really pissed me off about the entire BLM movement is that you got rid of all the good cops, because anybody that is a decent cop is sitting here looking at the equation going, this isn't fucking worth 60 grand a year. I might end up in jail for defending my life if I accidentally have to shoot somebody that's a different skin color than me. Not accidentally, but if I am forced to shoot somebody that is a different skin color. Or I have a particular arrest that gets a little bit ugly and it gets framed in the wrong light. In my opinion, well, I'm going to save that for later because it's going to piss off too many people at the beginning, but so you got rid of all the good cops and all the legitimate problems that we have, training, legal recourses, God damn it, what is it called? Asset forfeiture, right? Federal police officers, ATF, FBI, all these things are still a problem. All of the real problems still exist. You accomplish nothing except getting rid of all of the people that were doing the job to at least a reasonably good degree. And now we've had to lower the standards for police officers so incredibly because nobody wants to do the damn job because you'd have to be fucking crazy in a liberal city or a liberal state to want to be a police officer. The city of Seattle, my home state of Washington, has been trying to get the legislator, and I believe they finally did just pass this law, to allow illegals to be police officers. Non-citizens in the country illegally would be able to be police officers. And prosecutors, by the way. So you could be arrested, prosecuted, and sent to jail as an American citizen by somebody that is in the country illegally. So what did BLM accomplish exactly? And so look, when I watch an arrest like this, yeah, it's kind of brutal. But when you spend your life as a criminal, this woman is clearly an adult. You don't end up with a felony warrant for no reason. Again, I'll get into the details in just a second, and maybe I'll eat some of my words here, but I doubt it. You spend your life screwing over the good, hardworking people in the city. So no, I don't particularly care when the police use a little extra force to subdue you, especially when you're being an annoying asshole like this.
Look at this man. Look at this man.
I mean, fuck, if I had to listen to that voice, I'd probably throw a couple punches too.
Hey, Chelsea, you have a boyfriend.
Allegedly.
You can't just break into my home. You can't just break into my home.
Okay, and this is also part of the problem here, also comes to chokeholds, right? One of the things that BLM has taken away, and when I say BLM, I'm referring to the entire liberal, progressive, it's not really liberal, it's progressive, apparatus with Black Lives Matter and all the marches and Colin Kaepernick and all of that shit, right? I'm just using BLM as a catch-all. I understand BLM is a specific organization which is corrupt as hell and isn't necessarily the end-all be-all of all of it, but that's what I'm going to use because we all understand what I mean. Anyway, chokeholds, another thing that we lost. And when I say we, I mean another tool that police officers, I shouldn't say we, but another tool that police officers lost to use. Incredibly stupid. If you want police officers to be able to control unruly people like this bitch with the minimal amount of harm to them, or anybody else for that matter, then you must allow chokeholds. You must allow all of the techniques that allow somebody to control another person. And controlling the head is number one in that. Just because you put your arm around somebody's neck doesn't mean you have to choke them out. Taking that away makes it far more dangerous for the person being arrested. Now, frankly, I don't care that it's far more dangerous for the person being arrested that is choosing to fight. I don't. It's not hard. Don't fight. Even if you're wrongfully being arrested, it is stupid to fight. We have legal recourse for dealing with that. And somebody like myself will go to bat for you if you can prove I complied, I did what they told me to, but they had no right to arrest me in the first place. You know, here's the video, here's their body cam, whatever. I'll spend a whole fucking show railing against those cops for you. And in fact, I believe I have some examples of that. If I don't, then I will make sure I put them in the future show. But I do have some examples too, because I didn't want it to all be praise of the police. I have plenty of complaints about the police, and we're going to get into those. But let's get the details of this situation real quick, shall we? So, 28-year-old woman, El Paso. This happened, 2 days ago now? April 2nd, I believe. Let's see. You know what? Let me just, ask Rock to, give them to me here, because I pulled them up, but I don't know where I put them. Oh, they might be right. I'm all messed up doing this earlier in the day. Alex Jones calls for Elon Musk to be appointed next U.S. Attorney General. Interesting. That's apparently breaking news at the moment. Now, all right. Rock's thinking. Come on, faster, faster, faster. Not that hard. There we go. Okay. El Paso, Texas, like I said, 28-year-old woman. She had an outstanding warrant. Charges for the warrant not detailed in the tweet. Yeah, I know it's not detailed in the tweet. Officers attempted to arrest her. She was eventually subdued and arrested. No reports of serious injury. Way to bring me no legitimate information. All right, let's have him dig a little deeper here and see if we can get better information than that. In the meantime, since it's taking a little longer than I expected, let's go ahead and look at a couple stories that we have going on right now. So we have an F-15 that went down over Iran the other day, and we're going to talk about Iran later tonight. My plan is to talk about that with Austin when he gets here later. But sorry, I was just replying to him because he's letting me know where he's at the moment. But what was I saying? Something about talking about what's going on with Trump and Iran and stuff a little bit later. But we have the F-15 that went down. One of the pilots was recovered. One is still missing, and we are stepping up efforts to try and recover said pilot. Let me see what other details we have here. Oh, apparently they've disappeared on me too. That's alright. There's one right here. F-15 Strike Eagle shot down over southwestern Iran during Operation Epic Fury. U.S.-Israeli campaign. One crew member was rescued. Search teams now hunt for the second in the province amid Iranian calls for locals to capture the pilot. They've put out a $60,000 reward if they're able to capture the U.S. pilot. So obviously a precarious situation and very dangerous for the pilot. Hopefully he is well hidden and being careful. And hopefully he's still alive, doing all right, and we will find him shortly. The helicopter pilots and the A-10 Warthog that also ended up going down, although it is not believed that the A-10 went down from Iranian fire. We'll discuss that in a second. First, I want to say those were some incredibly brave men. To fly into an area that a fighter jet was just shot down in helicopters in an A-10, if you don't know, like, the details of how this equipment works in the battlefield, that's like, how can I compare this? It's like running into a burning building, basically, with no fire suit, no oxygen, nothing, full of smoke, and you could pass out at any moment. It's exactly what that is. It is incredibly easy, relatively speaking, to shoot down a helicopter or a slow, fat plane like an A-10. They are not designed for dealing with ground defenses. That's why we send in the bombers and the fighters and the electronic equipment first to take out the defenses. And so knowing an F-15 had just gone down, them flying into the zone to try and recover the pilots is absolutely phenomenal and speaks to the fortitude of American soldiers and their unwillingness to leave somebody behind. I just wanted to say that up front. Now, the A-10 that went down, Iran, of course, is claiming that they shot down both aircraft. There's literally nothing to support that. A-10, the thing is, A-10s fail often at this point in time. They are, it's not because they're not reliable either. They've been incredibly reliable aircraft. The thing is, we plan to stop using them in like 2008, I think. Let's see, when was the A-10 originally scheduled for decommission? Let's see here. AI is so useless when I need it to be useful. A-10 Thunderbolt 2's original service life was designed for 8,000 flight hours. That would have equated to approximately 2005, according to this estimate. It was first extended from 8,000 to 12,000 and has since been extended to 24,000 hours. That's, as far as I know, unheard of, but it's obviously extremely rare either way. I mean, we're talking a full 20 years past their original service life at this point. And so we're literally flying them till they break. They crash land somewhat fairly often, especially compared to, other aircraft that are not past their service life because they have been used so far long past. We had planned to retire them, like it said, around 2005 or so, because warfare was moving away from slow, fat planes and total air dominance. We didn't think we would ever have total air dominance again. And I'll explain what that means in a second, because there seems to be some confusion. But we didn't think we would ever have total air dominance again. And so, because of that, we didn't plan any sort of replacement for the A-10. We kind of figured the F-35 would just take its place, and that would be that. But the F-35 doesn't really fill the role of the A-10. It does a little bit, but not nearly as effectively. The point of the A-10 is ground support. In order to fly the A-10 in enemy territory, you have to have total air superiority, because it's about as fast as a World War II fighter plane, so very slow by today's standards. It flies about 1/10 the speed. Hold on. Well, okay, that's a little much. Maybe 1/5 to 1/8 the speed of a modern fighter jet, about 400 miles an hour. And it's very fat. It doesn't have any defenses. It could technically be shot down with effective small arms fire, but obviously with an RPG or something, especially if it's a targeted man pad, could take it down pretty easy. It slow, fat, no defenses. It's not meant for any sort of ground to air or air to air combat. It's simply meant as ground support. It is a plane that is designed for when you control the airspace, you can fly it safely, and you can support troops on the ground. It's meant to carry a ton of weapons so that way it can stay on target for a long time. It has 11 hard points on the outside, I believe. I think it's 11, which is a lot. Most have between like 3 and 6. So it's got 11 hard points for mounting guided missiles and things like that too. And then it's got, of course, the signature 30mm cannon on the front. And the problem is, it's proven extremely useful in dealing with cheap drones. Because instead of firing even the much cheaper missiles that fighter jets carry, because we can slap some fairly cheap missiles to a fighter jet and shoot down drones with those. And it is fairly effective. And the F-35 and the F-22 do have cannons, and so they are able to use cannons for drones as well. The problem is, you can't fly a plane that's meant to go over 1,000 miles an hour slow easily. And so, while they work, they're not an ideal thing. But when you're trying to deal with a drone that's only flying 115 miles an hour, which is about how fast the Shaheeds fly, and you have a plane that operates in the 100 to 400 mile an hour range, it's perfect. And because the A-10 was built around its cannon, it holds more ammo, and it's more effective. The cannons on the F-35 and the F-22 were kind of more designed for air-to-air combat rather than air-to-ground support. So anyway, the point is, the fact that it crashed, not shocking. It very well could have been shot down. But even if it was shot down, that's not any sort of like, oh, wow, they got 2 aircraft in one day. The F-15 is a little surprising, but not really. It's not a stealth aircraft. It also doesn't have major defenses from ground, like man pads and stuff. It's meant for air-to-air combat. It was designed as an air superiority platform. And so what you got to understand is the U.S. has specific platforms for specific needs. And when you have to push the limits of one of those platforms to a need that it doesn't fit, like flying an A-10 into a battlefield that you already know has a man pad or some form of anti-aircraft equipment in place, that's exceedingly dangerous. But we know the pilot did it because there were 2 Americans on the ground that needed to be rescued, and he wanted... you might be asking, well, what good could he do from an airplane? Well, he can mark their positions. And that way, the helicopters that were also on their way could swoop in and pick them up. They were only able to find one of the 2 pilots. The other one, and the thing is, a lot of people are like, well, how does he not have a beacon? Or we can't put an Apple AirPod tracker on him? No, we can't. And the reason is, the enemy has technology too. And so anything that puts out a signal, yes, we can track it, but so can the enemy. And while our encryption and stuff is better, the incredibly high cost of being able to put some form of tracker that is encrypted to the necessary level to prevent it from being accessed, and all of that is not, it's too much to give to each individual pilot. It would be very, very costly. We can put it in a $100 million plane. We can't put it on every single pilot for every single plane. Because remember, not all our planes are $100 million. And some require 2 pilots or more. So, you know, a B-52, I think, has a crew of 6. So if you're talking about $1 million piece of equipment, then all of a sudden your $1 million B-52 or whatever, I'm not even sure what they cost, but it's probably $1 million, a couple million at the most. all of a sudden the cost has now gone up $6 million more dollars just to have these just in case things. And then the other thing is, when you're transmitting a signal, sometimes it doesn't matter if it's encrypted, because they can pinpoint the signal even if they can't decrypt it. And so just the fact that it's putting out a signal. So anyway, for these reasons, no, we can't just put a tracker on it. Our pilots are trained to hide, basically. If they fall behind enemy lines, they are trained to hide, because enemies do exactly this. Iranians have sent out packs of fucking people that are desperate. They've put a $60,000 bounty on him. He's now hiding not just from the IRGC, but from most Iranians. Now, to be fair, most Iranians hate their government, and so he might be lucky and be, dealing with less of that than the Iranians are letting on. But of course, he would have to assume everybody is a threat. So he has to hide from literally everybody in the country while trying to get a signal to the American troops in the area. This is where I am. This is where I can meet you. Pick me up at this time. It's not an easy task. And so they're basically hunting for somebody that is trying very hard not to be found. And that's good news, because had he died, we probably would know. Had he been captured, we definitely would know. Most likely, he survived and is hiding and is following his training, and that's why we can't find him right away. And that's a good thing. Hopefully he'll get himself from behind enemy lines. That's probably the safest thing, and most likely what will happen is we won't hear anything about it for 5, 6, 10 days. I don't know exactly where he went down versus where the closest border is, but he'll probably try to get out of enemy territory and then call out and say, here I am, come get me. Now, anyway, back to the story that we were talking about. So, before we do that, though, just to put a nice bow on that, the point is, nothing new has happened. Despite what the media is reporting, despite what people are talking about online, despite what all of the America haters are, there's no change in the war. First of all, they've shot down 2 aircraft total. One was barely injured and was able to fly home, but it probably took it out of the fight for a minute, a few days at least, while it got repaired. But then one now has legitimately been shot down. So at best, if we're being generous, we can give them 2 aircraft shot down. If they were to manage to keep up that pace, it's been a little over a month now. If they managed to keep up the pace of 2 aircraft a month, it would take them 500 years just to take out the United States Air Force planes, let alone anything else. Not to mention the fact that, obviously, we can build more than 2 planes a month. I don't know exactly what rate we build planes, but it's a lot faster than that. So anyway, back to the police stuff. Now that this is done, let's see what I've found here. All right, Kelsey Hufford is the woman's name. 28-year-old woman arrested in the viral El Paso police body cam video now on April 2nd, so it was 2 days ago. She was booked into the El Paso County Detention Facility, i.e. the downtown jail. Charges: family violence and domestic assault, and then, of course, resisting arrest. She has $3,000 bond for family violence, $1,000 for resisting arrest. She was released same day on bond. And she has prior arrest records for, looks like, drug use, basically. Let's see. Those were charges, not convictions, to be clear. All right, she's not currently listed in jail. As we say, she was released on bond. That's basically all the information we have at this point. Okay, so previous charges, but no convictions. And she had a warrant for DV, which is a felony unless it gets pled down. Don't fight with cops. I mean, it's really that simple. Don't fight. You won't get punched in the face. Punching somebody in the face is a reasonable, and typically, what are you leaving cops with? When somebody is fighting like that, and we're going to show some videos on why cops take it very seriously when you struggle like that. It doesn't matter that you're a 105-pound pixie. Anybody can reach for a gun. And frankly, these cops screwed up by letting her get away with it. They should have been flipping furniture out of the way until they could get control over it. Because as you could see, the furniture is really what was in the way of her being subdued quicker. But there's a reason why they want to get handcuffs on you as quickly as possible if you're being detained or are under arrest. Let's go to the next video and see what we have here. I'm going to try and do this in some sort of order, but I'm not sure how it's going to go. Again, I'll be joined later tonight by Miller Talk, at Miller Talk _pod on X if you want to check him out. But for right now, we're just doing a pre-show and looking at some of these police videos, talking about some other loose ends while we wait for him to, well, he's off work now, but while we wait for him to get ready for the show. And at some point here, I'm going to go eat dinner before we start the show, but all right. Next video. Stop going to my... Here's a good example right here. Hang on one sec. Let me get the video ready, because this one happens very quickly. So leftists immediately jumped on this one as, oh my God, they shot this poor man, this poor innocent guy. This happens very, very quickly. And you don't actually see the shooting in this. You see right up to the moment that it happens.
Police! Police! Police!
I tried to find the full video, but I couldn't.
You're under arrest!
You see the gun right there. Okay, so this guy is apparently a pedophile who was trying to flee from police, apparently on an electric scooter because he's a fucking moron, and obviously immediately tried to pull out his firearm and shoot at the cop. This is why they don't fuck around when you are refusing to comply, because a lot of people, maybe it's 1%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10%. It depends on what area you're in. A lot of people that are refusing to comply and give up their hands, it's because they're trying to get to a weapon. That's why they take it seriously, and why just going like this isn't helping your situation and is going to get you hurt, most likely. And it's hard not to see any justification, because we asked these police officers to do this job for us, to go after criminals, to go after people that beat up their own mother, like the last woman, allegedly, or pedophiles, allegedly, like this guy. And look, you might hinge on the fact that I just said allegedly for both of those. The fact is, they have to be arrested before they can go to court and be convicted. There's no way to know for sure unless they try and do what this guy did and shoot at you or get convicted at trial. Okay, so you can see right here, he jumps off. Don't think he intended to fall, but he did. Cop jumps out. And right there, you can see he's going for the gun. He's got it in his hand right there. Thankfully, the cop was very quick on the draw and already has him in the sights before he even gets his gun out. Gun out. Even almost got it aimed at the cop there for a second. Right there. And then the video ends. So I'm going to play it one more time full speed.
Police! 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 Stop! Stop! You're under arrest! Don't do it!
Like I said, I tried to find the full video. I think that's all the police released, just because the narrative was starting to get pulled. Because the mainstream media does that every time. And this is why I say the mainstream media is the most anti-American media in existence. Maybe I shouldn't say the most anti-American in existence. Iranian media is pretty anti-American too. But the mainstream media is as anti-American as it gets. That's a better way to say it. Because unless the cops can prove instantly that the shooting is legitimate, they'll just assume it's not because it gets them more clicks. It always serves their purpose, and it's not like they get in any trouble for lying. Now, they should, and let me clarify. Not with the government. We have free speech. That allows you to lie, right? But you should punish them, as the viewer, for fucking lying to you all the time. All right, that one was pretty short. Let's go to a different one. Okay, so that's a good example of what you should do. Let's go to... I got a good range here, but I showed this video the other night of a man complying, accidentally shot by the cop. That's different, though. Alright, let's play this one. Now, this guy's lucky he wasn't shot. And, we'll have an interesting comparison here in a minute, because a lot of people are going to bring up a racial comparison. I would argue this man wasn't shot because he's black, and this cop doesn't want to end up in jail for the rest of his life because he shot an unarmed black man. You decide. Why is it justified to shoot him even though he's only fighting him? Just to clarify up front. Well, because he can just as easily get his hands on that cop's gun. He could just as easily reach in his car or reach in his waistband, pull out a gun and shoot the cop. You don't know what he's gonna do. Neither does the cop. If some dude just came up and started fighting you, and you had a gun, you're gonna shoot him.
Yeah. Always picking with you. You always picking, Captain. Always. Yeah, he is. You're always picking. Look at him. They need to beat his ass. Because he want to do something to somebody anyway. You kicked that door in. You always picking. You don't even know if I got no word. Come on down. Look at Eddie. Stay in that car. You're going to pay for busting my window out. You're paying for
I can't tell if they're yelling at the black dude or the cop. I think they're yelling at the black dude.
No, he got what he got to work for. I'm his mother. What do he got to work for?
No, apparently she's yelling at the
Pushing the
cop.
mama. He all on video. He another one they need
Never
to
mind,
fire
they
his
defended
ass
it.
too. Yeah. For what? You don't got a warrant for.
It don't matter what you got a warrant for now.
He thinks he's so hard. What I got a warrant for? And you pushing me, you kicked my door in. I got something for you this go round. Why you done bust my window out? You're paying for what I got a warrant for. You're paying for my window. What I got a warrant for? I didn't gonna bust your window. He act like he didn't kill somebody. He don't know. You done pushed me in my chest. What he got a warrant for? He don't know. What do he got a warrant for? He don't know.
He's not going to sit here and argue with you while you're still fighting with
You
him.
don't know. Get off from me. Bro, I'm not even going nowhere. This is crazy. No, I'm not getting on the ground for you. You just mad about Jada. Fuck, you push my guy. You crazy. Look at it. On the fucking crazy. It's not for you. I mean, that's personal, honey. It ain't. I got no warrant. Tell him what he got a warrant for. And he busted my car window out. Man, Chelsea, I'm calm. How he bust your window? I was sitting in the car. This man running. Why did he bust my window? I seen it when he came over. Busted with his hand.
If it were up to me, I'd send all of them to jail.
Wait. I'm filing a report. I'm filing a report. You busted my window. I am. I know it's fine with you. You busted my window and you're going to pay for it. Let me go. You're going to pay for it. What's the warrant for, though? What's the warrant for?
They not gonna tell you.
He don't know.
They not gonna tell you.
He said that was confirmed. Why they ain't confirmed the shit? Ain't nobody done nothing. He busted my window down. I want it. I do not got no warrant.
He busted his lady window.
Man, let me go. Tell me, let me go, bro. I'll put my hands on my
For you.
Okay. For you. What? I got it.
You're using too much excessive force. You know this man. Misusing y'all's badge. That's what y'all good for.
Push me in my chest.
Woman, you deserve your ass kicked too.
I don't know, bro. You know I work at Walmart.
Yeah,
this man too.
And ran to the car.
Hey, we asked him what's the warrant for. That's all.
Good.
What's the warrant for?
Real bad. Put this woman all in her chest. Yeah, he did.
And you can watch the camera in Walmart. This nigga followed me out of Walmart for what?
Walk over here. Good.
No, it don't. They need to do something with that.
Let's clarify something too. If you have a warrant for your arrest,
I would not pull out of here with another officer.
they don't have to present it to you at that exact moment. They are able to swear to that, and you have to take their word. Now, if they arrest you and don't present you with the warrant, well, then there is a problem for them. But again, fighting with the cop, not going to get you anywhere. I would argue that man wasn't shot. First of all, this is why cops should carry tasers. Second of all, I would argue that man wasn't shot solely because he was black. And because that cop doesn't want to go to jail for the rest of his life. But especially with all those people around, especially with how long that cop was by himself, and that dude chose to fight him, and the fact that he could not get control of him. Let me show you another example now with a non-cross race arrest. And why don't you see how it goes? This would be a white officer and a white suspect.
Are you failing to?
The video is going to cut out towards the end and it'll cut to a different angle. I'll stop it at that point so you can reassess because it happens quickly.
Fuck you. You're failing to fucking follow the law, sir. This is illegal. This is fucking illegal what you're fucking doing. You back the fuck up. You back the fuck up. I ain't backing the fuck up. I ain't backing the fuck up. You back the fuck up. Grab that shit, motherfucker.
I am not grabbing it.
Yeah, you little fucking punk. Little fucking punk. Fuck you.
Back up.
The fuck off of me. Get your fucking hands off me.
I need to know you in here.
No, you're not gonna fucking arrest me.
Sir, back up. Back up.
You back the fuck up.
Back up.
You back the fuck up. Get your fucking hand off me.
You cannot touch me. Stop.
You should not fucking touch me.
I told you to back up.
What is it about people just repeating themselves over and over and over
Dude,
and
please,
over?
Please stop.
Again?
Please stop walking up on me.
I'm in my goddamn car.
Back up.
Nice. All right, come on, bitch.
See you fights him for a minute.
Come on. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Come on with it. 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 Come on.
Okay, so you can see it's cut to a different angle right here. And I believe this is a good Samaritan that comes over and tries to help the officer subdue him. But you can see at this point, so at first he does try to fight him a little bit, but that's because the guy's keeping his distance and boxing it. Now that he's grabbing onto him, and now he's within reach of grabbing his gun, it's a different story. And you'll see it very quickly here. Ends in him getting shot. And you might say, "Oh, only shot him one time." That's because there was only one bullet in the gun. You can see the magazine fall out. Right there. It. Right there. So he only had one shot. You can see he immediately fires, and then he goes to do a press check because he doesn't understand why his weapon stopped firing. That was not gunshots, by the way. That was the person filming clapping, or somebody near the person filming, one way or another. Anyway, I don't have a problem with that either. It's not fucking hard. And if we want to fix the problem with policing, that goes on the civilians too. And the fact is, somebody dumb enough to fight with the cops, again, probably makes a living out of victimizing other people. That's just the case. Let's take a look at a couple more here, and then I'll talk about what I think I don't know if they're solutions, but at least what my ideas are on how we can actually fix policing in this country.
Are you failing?
All right. What is this one? I don't want to do that one yet. This one's absolutely wild. Just absolutely wild. There is shooting, but I don't think you see anything that's particularly gruesome or anything. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Okay, so that officer was just shot twice. He'll talk about where here in a minute.
Shot fired, I'm hitting the face, shot fired! Bro, I need help. Hands rose, he's stopping again.
My name is Daniel Harrell. I'm a North Carolina State Trooper. I've currently been working with Highway Patrol for 13 years. My dad and granddad were both on the patrol. As a young kid, I knew this was what I wanted to do. Seeing my dad growing up, watching him serve others, I knew I had a servant's heart. I felt like this was the path I wanted to take. On the night of January 14th, 2019, I was currently assigned Wilson County. I was working patrol on US 301, where I observed a car come by, improperly towing another car. Made my traffic stop on the car, made my approach, talked with the occupant of the rear vehicle, which was being towed, made my approach to the front vehicle, spoke with that occupant. While talking with the driver, he then threw his car in drive and took off from the traffic stop. I ran to my car and advised our Raleigh Communication Center that I was 1043, which means in pursuit of a vehicle.
Okay, so you can see car towing another car. Tried to make the traffic stop, talk to them, and they took off, so he runs back to his car.
We traveled approximately half a mile to a mile. Once we came to another stop, just as I was about to exit my patrol car, the driver of the vehicle opened his door and fired approximately 4 shots.
Now you can't see it because it's the driver of the front vehicle, not the rear vehicle. Because again, the rear vehicle is being towed.
Into my windshield, 2 striking me in the face. One struck me right in the corner of my mouth, came out behind my ear, and the other one struck me just above my left eyebrow. And after being shot, obviously my family's first thing crossing my mind. My wife, who was at home 4 months pregnant, I knew about this time she was just getting home from work. You know, all you can think about is, will you meet your daughter? We didn't even know we were having a girl yet at this point. Will I meet my child? Right after the initial shots hit me, I immediately knew what happened. I did not know the extent of the injury. I began to return fire and notified all communications of what was going on, and I'd been shot. The driver then fled again with his vehicle. I gave chase approximately another half a mile.
Absolutely incredible, this cop.
Over for a second time.
Bro, I need help. I ain't driving. They stopped again.
This encounter, I got out of my car. We exchanged gunfire again. He cut the rope to the car that he was towing and then fled once more in his vehicle. I continued to give chase. My mouth would fill with blood. I'd spit it out. It'd fill with blood again. I'd spit it out. I had blood coming down my eye and wasn't even sure that I'd been shot here. This was the only one I really felt. I chased him for approximately 3 more miles where he made a U-turn and rammed the front of my car. Which ultimately disabled my patrol vehicle. Got out, I engaged in gunfire again. My adrenaline was just dumping. Just continued to chase as long as I could.
When I first heard of this incident, I thought, I know Trooper Daniel Harrell. I know his father and I know his grandfather. And I immediately went into what was going on with him, what condition was he in, how was his family handling this, and what we needed to do to help Daniel. We constantly train and talk about the day and time of how to treat him.
All right. This is why you can't have it both ways. So let's get into this now. And then I'm going to take off here for a little bit and we'll come back. I'm going to take about an hour break here in about 10 minutes. And we're going to come back with Austin from the Miller Talk podcast and do the regular show. So here's the thing. What is the point of police? Who do they work for? Why? Who do they not work for? What is their legitimate role? Well, that changes a little bit depending on what type of police we're talking about. But let's start with the most common. Your city, local police, your sheriff. Sheriff slightly different, but not really. And I'm trying to think. I don't think that that's it, right? City police, sheriff, because state patrol. Once you go up to state patrol, that's where you start to see, excuse me, slight changes. But all police still adhere to the same rules, or should adhere to the same principles, at least, of the local police and sheriffs. And that is, they don't work for the mayor. They don't work for the city council. They don't work for the criminals. They work for the good, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens of the area. Now, this puts them in a difficult position because there are a couple things here. So, they work for the good, law-abiding citizens of the area. To do what? To protect them from the criminals who seek to victimize them. Sometimes their intention isn't necessarily to victimize people, but that's the result of their actions, such as a drug addict, for example. A drug addict doesn't necessarily set out to victimize people like a robber would, but the result of their actions leads to that. And you're responsible for your actions, no matter what. You know, you don't get to pass that blame onto somebody else, let alone an inanimate object that you chose to consume. So their job is to protect the law-abiding citizens from the people trying to victimize them. That people can include government, too, to be clear. We have a government of, by, and for the people. We're supposed to. The police's job is not to protect anybody in government. It's not to work for anybody in government. It's to follow the laws that are passed allegedly by the people. through their representation, and to protect them from the people trying to victimize them. That is the legitimate role. Now, the officer also has to be able to determine, though, who is trying to victimize people and who is a good, law-abiding citizen that just happened to have gotten in trouble. And I'm not saying that just because you're a good, law-abiding citizen, that means you get a free pass when you break the law. What I am saying is that it should be handled differently than somebody that spends their life breaking the law. And that is one area where we can all agree that cops are not perfect. But we also have to recognize, too, that they're human and we can never expect perfection. Overall, at least until much more recently, American cops have been well above the standard anywhere in the world. Anywhere else in the world, the cops don't work for the people at all. They work for the government. And that's a fundamental difference. And I'm going to show you one example of that fundamental difference here in a second. But some cops in Canada specifically. But the thing is, the good, law-abiding, hardworking, tax-paying citizens of a city, of a county, of a small town, whatever it is, we hire police. If you want to get really technical, we hire a city government to hire police, or we form a city government to hire police, rather, to protect us. Not to try and extract every dollar they can get out of us. Not to try and enforce the will of the people that we elect into office. We hire them to enforce the law and make sure everybody is playing by the same rules. In general, most cops, even today, are still pretty good at making this distinction. If you spend your life as a criminal, meaning you spend your life victimizing other people, I'm okay with the cops using more force with you. I'm okay with them harassing you, in a sense. Because you are not being a productive member of that society. And at any time you can choose to, and it goes away. It is entirely on your shoulders. Now, if you are a good, tax-paying, law-abiding citizen of a community and a cop's harassing you, that's entirely different. Entirely. But if you want to complain about a cop harassing you because you're a good, law-abiding citizen, and it turns out you've got a rap sheet that's a mile long, well, it makes it a lot harder for us to determine, we hired this guy to go after people like you. And so maybe you didn't do something this time. But I kind of got to take his word for it. Because this is what your word means. Nothing. So I'm just trying to lay out the difficult position that we put officers into. And the fact that we've just somehow expected that they all turn into robots that operate perfectly every time. Look, I've been a dick to a cop before. I had a bad day, didn't like what they were doing, by bothering me, to be specific. And so I was kind of a dick about it. Didn't do me any favors, didn't do them any favors. No, I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I also understood why they were talking to me. Because they didn't know that. Now, on the same token, I will also acknowledge that cops have gotten a little bit too reliant on technology, I think, is probably where this comes from. It comes from bad training and it comes from a heavy reliance on technology, where anyone they talk to, they want to identify. Anyone they talk to, they want to run them in their system and try and find out if they have warrants or whatever. I get why you want to do that. I do. However, this is America, and we do have a right to move about unmolested. I use that term specifically because that is the term that is in the Constitution. That means, so long as we are not actively committing a crime, we have a right to not be asked by government officials, of which a police officer is, about our business. And if you take that oath as a police officer, it is your duty to uphold that, whether you agree with it or not. And so, there's an important distinction to make here. Yes, the cop needs to uphold those standards. If the cop doesn't uphold those standards, it's still not incumbent on you to decide to squabble with the cop. Let him violate your right. Go through the avenues that we have for correcting that. Because in order for these officers to do the job that we hired them to do, we have to give them authority. Otherwise, no criminal would ever stop and listen to the cop. They'd just shoot him. If the cop doesn't have authority, then he's really no use, is he? And so in order to do the job that we ask them to do, we have to give them authority. We have to give them the authority to at least temporarily violate somebody's rights, meaning they can detain you or arrest you with probable cause, or a warrant, of course. And if a cop does that unlawfully, you have to follow the correct procedures for getting that dealt with. You cannot just take the matters into your own hands. Because again, for the rest of us, from the outside, how are we supposed to know who was in the right and who was in the wrong? You have to follow the legal recourse that is set out. Martin Luther King understood this principle, and it's why he was so effective. He could have fought back. He would have been perfectly justified fighting back with numerous people throughout his life. So would have his followers. Right? The march across the bridge, I think it was Selma, right? Where when they finally marched across, they got their ass kicked by local police and local Democrats. Sorry, they were. They could have fought back. They would have been perfectly justified in fighting back. They were attacked. But Martin Luther King understood that in those situations, fighting back means losing. Because how is an outsider who is trying to decide if you have a legitimate grievance or not, and only looking at, okay, these people showed up and started fighting with the cops, well, whose fault is that? If you're looking at it from the outside, it's not so easy to tell. But if you're watching the cops beat up on somebody that is complying with their orders, well, suddenly it's a lot easier to tell, isn't it? You have to give these things like 2 fucking seconds of thought. Now, the problem gets more complicated when we get to State Patrol and we get to federal police officers. As far as the local and sheriffs, we've established who you work for, who you don't work for. You can, local police, you can do yourselves a lot of favors by remembering that and deciphering that every day while you're at work. is this a person I work for or don't? And if you don't like working for random individuals, don't do the job. That is what that job entails. You are hired by the people of that community to protect them from the criminals, whether they be in government, whether they be in your police force, or whether they be on the street. They don't hire you to generate revenue from them. They don't hire you to harass the good working people of the town that forgot to buy their fucking tabs or have a light out. And I will say, the one thing I have noticed is that, at least in my local community, over the last 10 years, cops have gotten better at recognizing those differences. And they've realized that maybe we went a little too far separating ourselves from the community. But we can't ask them not to make it us versus them if we are making it us versus them, if we are forcing them into that position. Does that make sense? Now, when we get up to the state level, it becomes a little bit more difficult because State Patrol, they are directly at the control of the governor usually. I don't know if that's true in all 50 states. I know it's true in my state. And as far as I can tell, their exclusive purpose, other than occasionally backing up the sheriff or local police, is simply to generate revenue. And that is not a job we have ever hired police for. Hopefully that's not true in every state. I don't believe it's true in some states. I've seen much better state patrol than I have in other states than I have in my own. But I know in my state, Washington State Patrol is essentially nothing but a revenue generation organization. They are a tax enforcement arm of the Washington state government. And that is absolutely a problem. But again, not a problem that was fixed at all by BLM and all the bullshit they did. In fact, it's a problem that BLM and COVID only made worse. When we get to the feds, it's a whole nother story. Frankly, I don't see any reason for federal police at all. I don't think they serve us any significant benefit, with some minor exceptions. Air marshals, although we've already seen the Biden administration completely abuse the air marshal system. Most people are still not aware of this, but the Biden administration, they turned the air marshals into a private bounty force, essentially. They were using air marshals to follow around not just people that were at the Capitol on January 6th, but anybody that came in or out of D.C. or spoke to somebody directly that was in D.C. on that day. Seriously. You can look it up. There was a whistleblower. It was the head of the air marshals herself, I believe. I forget exactly what her position was, but I believe she was the head of the air marshals, whatever that title is. And she said, Biden has been making us do this. We don't want to do this. It's unconstitutional. Following around people that had never even been accused of a crime. Again, just for being in or near D.C. or talking to somebody that was in or near D.C. on January 6th. That's called a witch hunt. So, other than that, I do believe that the air marshals serve a purpose otherwise. I believe that the U.S. Marshals, the U.S. Marshals Service, serve a purpose. They are the ones that are able to go across state lines to get fugitives. That is important. 100%. We need the U.S. Marshals. I don't see much use for the FBI. Maybe somebody could convince me, but I certainly don't think they need to be anywhere near the size organization that they are. I think we could get rid of most of it, and I'm really pissed that Kash Patel said, I'm going to tear it down on day one, and then literally did the opposite. That is so far my biggest complaint, I think, about this administration. Now, that said, I definitely see no use for the ATF. I definitely see no use for the DEA. And then the intel agencies. But those are kind of separate. That's not really police, so I don't want to go down that road. I'm trying to think, is there any other federal, let me check real quick. Federal police forces in the U.S. Apparently we have 80 federal law enforcement agencies. Good Christ. Oh, ICE. Of course, there's a use for ICE. Secret Service, yes. So, like, these hyper-specialized, yes. The problem comes in with these much broader organizations, like the FBI, the DEA, or the ATF. And you might say, well, the ATF is specialized. Yeah, the problem is their entire existence is to infringe on a guaranteed, enshrined right in the Constitution. And most people misunderstand what the fuck an inalienable right means these days. It does not mean something that is guaranteed to you. It means something that is guaranteed the government cannot fuck with. There is no legitimacy for the ATF. There's no legitimacy, I would argue, for the DEA. And even if you believe there is, right? And I did at one point believe there was. Let me be clear, for both. And honestly, like, I appreciate the good things that the ATF and the DEA do. The problem is all the bad things that you do it doesn't overcome that. The ATF put a guy in jail in DC for having a brace on an AR-15 pistol. Something that millions of Americans legally have and own. Something that the ATF themselves clarified does not turn the rifle into a crime. Anybody aware of gun laws and how exactly they work knows how absolutely absurd the ATF has made them. Yet, they had no problem prosecuting this guy, despite the fact there were millions of other people in the country that the ATF themselves said lawfully own their firearms in the configuration that they were in. But apparently this one guy, he didn't. Just as an example. And then with the DEA, right? Generally speaking, I don't want drugs, illegal narcotics. I don't want gangs being able to profit off that. I do believe that all drugs should be legal, not decriminalized. I believe you should be able to go to a pharmacy, or at the very least a doctor, without the government interfering, and get cocaine if you want to. That's your business. As long as you're not harming anybody else, you're not stealing from anybody, you're not getting naked in the middle of the street. If cocaine helps you get through the day, it's not my problem. You should have every legal right to get it, and I want legal businesses to be able to sell it to you legally so that we know that you're not getting laced drugs, you know you're getting what you pay for, and criminal organizations are not able to profit and shed blood for it. That's why I believe that the drugs should be legal. Not because I think that drugs are a good thing. I don't, generally speaking. But you can get them just as easy right now. So, what do we prefer? We can go to the pharmacy and get them with an ID, and at least we know that no gangs are profiting from it. We know that it's a legitimate drug, meaning a pure drug. And we know that the person that is buying it at least is able to get the correct information about the dangers of that drug. Or we can keep it illegal. That person can still walk around, at least where I live, damn near any block, and find somebody to buy it from. They have no idea what's actually in it. Multiple gangs are profiting from it, not to mention trafficking humans off of it. And I forgot the third one, but whatever. Likely they're going to OD from fentanyl because it's cheaper than everything else anyway. It hasn't worked. And that's why the DEA, in my opinion, is useless. Because billions, maybe trillions, we have spent on this drug war. Thousands have had their rights violated because of this drug war. And we have gotten worse, not better. We have not only gotten nowhere, it is worse now than it ever was. We have more violent cartels that are more powerful than they were before the DEA existed. So where's the benefit? Don't get me started on asset forfeiture, which comes from the drug war as well. These are the real problems that need to be addressed, but they can't be addressed when we're constantly fucking bitching about these 97-time criminals that act like little bitches every time they get caught and scream, "I can't breathe." Motherfucker, if you can scream, "I can't breathe," you can goddamn breathe. I want to show you an example of the difference before we get... I got to get out of here. But before I do, I want to show you one example of the difference of police that work for the people versus police that work for the government. This video is very long, so I can't play the whole thing right now. Maybe we'll play it when I come back in an hour here. But...
Dad?
This is Canada.
The police is here to take you away. Donna wants you to be taken away with the police. Okay? You can tell the police officer what you want.
Where you gonna put me?
Come here.
So he's telling his dad, who is 102 years old, the police are here to take you away. And he said, "Where are they going to put me?"
Come closer. Come closer.
I just don't go and they throw me out.
They're going to throw me
No,
out?
I'm not opening the door. I told you that. What don't you understand? You can break the glass and take them by force. Well, then that's it.
Let me be clear about something, too. Because you might be seeing some contradiction in me saying don't fight with the police and then this guy not letting them in. There's a big difference when you're in your own home, first of all. Especially here in America. Now, in Canada, I don't know exactly how all the rules break down. But here in America, there's a big difference when you're in your own home. Now, if they have a warrant, you have no choice. Open the door, let them in, don't fight with them. If they don't have a warrant, and especially if you know you haven't committed any crime, I don't have any problem with saying, I'm not going to fight you, but I'm not going to open the door. If you think you have probable cause, break it down. There's a difference between fighting and not, I don't even know what, there's no way for me to say it without sounding somewhat contradictory, but you have to be intelligent about it. If you can't see the difference between those two things, then I can't help you, I guess. But so anyway, I'll leave this on mute and just let it keep playing. We don't need to hear this whole exchange, because obviously it doesn't get any better. The 102-year-old father, the daughter wants to put him in a home because she wants the house. The sons who are there with him, that's the guy filming, and the other guy there, I believe, is either a son or maybe uncle. But they live in the dad's home with the dad, and they take care of him. And the sister, who doesn't like the brother apparently, just wants the home, and so she's trying to get the dad out of the home and into state care. The police are there to enforce that on behalf of the state. In Canada, What would most likely happen is this man would be deemed too expensive for the state to take care of, and they would try and convince him that he needs MAID. Medical assisted something suicide, basically. It's medically assisted death. MAID, and this is why no matter how much you might have empathy, yeah, it looks like the uncle, not the brother. But anyway, this is why these eugenic type programs, this is why you have to have strong values and principles. Because I've almost been swayed. I was swayed when I was younger by the empathy argument when it comes to programs like MAID. Well, sure, you should be able to decide when you die. That's not how it works, though. We don't get to decide. No living thing on this planet gets to decide. And when you give the government the power, it is always going to spiral. Well, in Canada, they have universal health care. That means the government has to come up with the money to pay for the health care. But of course, they don't want to pay for a dime more than they have to because it's unsustainable. It has led to thousands being forced into MAID, sometimes against their will. There have been reports of several that have agreed to a MAID appointment, medically assisted death, and then they change their mind, something that you're supposed to be able to do under the law. And the government forces them dead anyway. These cops will drag this old man away because they work for the government, not for the law-abiding, tax-paying citizen inside. There is a difference. Appreciate that we live in America and that difference exists. Advocate for that difference. Understand that difference. And help police understand it. Don't turn it into us versus them. That's never going to work. You're never going to get the results any of us want by making it us versus them. The only us versus them it should be is us and the police versus the government. There is no such thing, by the way, as the government. The government has no authority, except for the authority we choose it to have. Important to remember that too. All right, guys, I'm going to take a break for about an hour and get off of here. Like I said, we will be back. Hopefully, let's see. It's 6:22 right now. I'm going to try and be back on at 7:30 Pacific time. Adjust accordingly. That's basically an hour and 10 minutes from now. With Austin from the Miller Talk podcast. MillerTalk.substack.com is where you can find him. You can find this show, x.com/JBU_show, rumble.com/user/justbetweenus. Please like, share, give it a follow, all that good stuff. And if you follow on X, which is, I always recommend, you can also watch on YouTube and Twitch. However, X and Rumble are the place to watch because they don't censor us at all. I don't have to do the stupid shit where instead of saying suicide, I say fuck that. You have to be able to talk straight or there's no point. Anyway, if you follow on x.com/JBU_show or at JBU_show and hit the notification bell, you will get notified when we go back live in about an hour. All right, guys. Like I said, we'll be back in an hour. Appreciate you watching and being here for this. And hopefully we'll see most of you here in a little bit.
Bye. Wait, I want to be a little bit louder.
Yeah.
This is only between us.
This is just between us.
This is between us.
Perfect.